Imagine having the ability to bring the dead back to life. Never having to worry about losing your loved ones. Would that be a gift or a curse? This is where the movie starts, in ancient Egypt, and the first person we meet is the high priest to the Pharaoh Imhotep, looking down on all of Egypt like he's God. He is approached by the Pharaoh's wife. She is off bounds, but she is so fine even Imhotep's priests check her out. She goes into Imhotep's chambers and lays a kiss on him. The Pharaoh barges into Imhotep's chambers and finds his wife. He senses something is off. But before he can put all the pieces together, he is stabbed in the back by Imhotep. Imhotep's priests all watch from the outside, as he brutally kills the Pharaoh. Their murder party is called short when the Pharaoh's guards come barging in. Imhotep's priests quickly rush into his chambers and take him away, so that he isn't captured by the guards. Imhotep and his priests move so quickly that he is unable to get to his love. To not be captured and tortured, the Pharaoh's wife kills herself, and Imhotep can only helplessly watch her. Imhotep can't go on living without his woman. So that night Imhotep and his priests break into her coffin, steal her corpse and run off into the desert to Hamunaptra, the city of the dead. Imhotep grabs the Book of the Dead and sets the Pharaoh's wife in place, deep inside a temple to perform a ritual that he hopes will bring her to life. They begin singing their chants and her soul returns to her body, right before the ritual is interrupted by the Pharaoh's guards. Her soul leaves her body and she is back to dead. They are all punished for their transgressions. Imhotep's priests are to be mummified alive, while Imhotep is to have his eyes removed, his tongue cut off and is to be placed in a container with flesh-eating bugs for all eternity with a curse. He is not to be removed from his sarcophagus for all of time. If he were to be taken out, mankind would be hit with disease, famine and plagues. The scene cuts to 3,000 years later and men are fighting for the treasures of Hamunaptra, unaware of all the evil that surrounds the city. Thankfully, all of the treasures and the bodies of the pharaohs are protected by the pharaoh's guards who make sure that Imhotep's sarcophagus stays closed. We meet Rick O'Connell, a soldier on the front lines, shooting and fighting enemies with all he's got until the only option left is to run off. He is surrounded and then suddenly his pursuers change their mind. They stop because they are at the foot of Imhotep's grave. Suddenly dusty winds move and an evil face appears on the ground screaming, "This is Imhotep." Rick O'Connell runs off, but senses he is being watched. He sees the pharaoh's guards led by Ardith. Next, we meet the beautiful, clumsy librarian at the Museum of Antiquities, Evelyn, who single-handedly sends all the shelves tumbling like dominoes. Her boss Terence is angry at her mess up and is about to fire her when she reminds him that she is the only person qualified in the region to understand ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. He leaves and Evelyn is left to clean her mess when she hears a noise in the back. It is coming from an ancient coffin. She comes close and is scared by her drunk brother Jonathan Carnahan, lying next to the ancient corpse. Evelyn tells her brother about all her bad luck and how she hasn't gotten the money from the university because she doesn't have field experience. Jonathan hopes that giving her another trinket he found might cheer her up. She is used to him giving her useless things. But this time round he's found something. She can't contain her smile. It is the key to the pharaoh's sarcophagus and a map. Then Evelyn presents Jonathan's find to her boss Terence. She tells him that the map is from Hamunaptra, the city of the dead pharaohs. Terence thinks it's all nonsense, that the city is only a fairy tale. He crushes their dreams and sets fire to the map. I guess Terence is jealous because he has no hair. The next day Evelyn and Jonathan walk into a prison, looking for the person Jonathan stole the map and key from. The guards present a crazy-haired Rick O'Connell. Rick tells them that he was actually at Hamunaptra. Evelyn wants to know where it is and Rick says she could come close. She moves close and he slaps a prison breath kiss on her. He is escorted out by the guards, but before he leaves, he tells Evelyn and Jonathan to get him out. The scene cuts to Rick, who is about to be hanged. Evelyn tries to negotiate his life for £500 with the prison warden, but that's not enough. Evelyn tells the warden that Rick knows where Hamunaptra is and she negotiates to give him 25% of their findings in the ancient city. He agrees and Rick is freed just in time. The following morning Jonathan and Evelyn wait at the harbor for Rick. Evelyn doesn't trust Rick one bit and she tells her brother that. Rick overhears them and pops up with a clean shave and a haircut. Evelyn is lost for words for a moment but asks him if he is telling the truth about the city of Hamunaptra. Rick tells her his story and the story of his troops who risked their lives to reach the city. Evelyn likes Rick but is brought back to Earth when the warden appears. He is there to make sure his investment is protected, so he is coming along. Then the ship sets sail and the passengers on board are unaware that they are being followed. Later that night Jonathan is gambling with Americans who are being led by a man who is taking them to the city. They are being led by Benny, Rick's former right-hand man in battle. Rick meets Benny and throws him off the ship for leaving him to die. Later that night, Evelyn is in her quarters thinking about her kiss with Rick when the Pharaoh's guards arrive and hold her at knife point. Rick arrives just in time to save her. Rick shoots their way out and gets her to safety by throwing her into the ocean. Jonathan and the warden also jump off the ship. The map is destroyed, but Jonathan manages to get the key to the Pharaoh's sarcophagus. The following day they get camels and head to Hamunaptra. They finally arrive at the city, but the Americans are already there. Everyone waits for the sunrise to show them the way. It appears and everyone rushes to Hamunaptra. Everyone begins excavating for treasures. Everyone but Rick, who ties himself to a huge pillar. He is preparing for the worst. The other Americans watch him thinking he is crazy. Meanwhile, Evelyn explains to the guys what they should do to get the base of the statue of Anubis, where Imhotep is buried. They finally reach the inside and walk through the temple and get to the bottom. They bump into the Americans, who want all the loot for themselves. Evelyn convinces Rick and Jonathan to let go of it because she knows where the real treasure is. On the other hand, the warden goes off on his treasure hunt, which leads to him being killed by beetles. The Americans stay at the base of Anubis and the diggers pry open his tomb. They all leave the base of Anubis to set up camp and are ambushed by Ardith and the other Pharaoh's tomb protectors, who warn them that they need to leave by tomorrow or die. The Americans now want the treasure even more, but Rick knows that there is more to the tomb protectors than what meets the eye. The next day the Americans uncover a chest from the tomb. Their Egyptologist reads the warning label about curses that are tied to the chest. Once it is open, the curse of the Imhotep will plague the earth. Benny has a bad feeling about it all. The Americans open their chest and it reveals the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead needs a key to be opened. Meanwhile, Evelyn, Rick and Jonathan open the sarcophagus of the high priest Imhotep with the key. Outside the tomb they find the Americans celebrating their haul. Evelyn sees their Egyptologist with the Book of the Dead and he needs a key to open it. That night she steals the Book of the Dead from the Egyptologist and uses their key to open it. She reads it and she unknowingly brings the high priest Imhotep back to life. Their nighttime celebration is ruined by swarming locusts and killer beetles. Everyone runs for dear life. Mr. Burns, one of the Americans, has his eyes and tongue stolen by the Imhotep. They run out of the tomb thinking they've won, but Ardith and the tomb protectors tell them that they have killed them all. Humanity will face plagues because of their stupidity. The Pharaoh's tomb protectors go in to try and stop the mess before it's too late. Meanwhile, Imhotep has found someone gullible enough to serve him, money-hungry Benny, Rick's former friend. The following day Evelyn, Jonathan and Rick return to their hotel and Rick is adamant about leaving the country as soon as he can. But Evelyn wants to stay. Rick and her have a fallout and he leaves her to go get a drink. He meets Jonathan and the remaining Americans. Elsewhere, Imhotep and Benny ambush Mr. Burns and take his skin and life. Now the curse is in full force. Water is turned to blood, and balls of fire come raining from the sky. He goes looking for Evelyn, who resembles his lost love. He wants to use her in a ritual sacrifice to bring back the Pharaoh's wife. But she is saved just in time by Rick. Then they all escape and make their way to the museum where Evelyn works. The tomb protector Aerith and Terence, Evelyn's boss, reveal that they are all a part of a secret society who are responsible for keeping the tomb sealed. They explain that Imhotep gets stronger by killing the people who open the tomb. So at the top of his list is the Egyptologist, who also has the Book of Death. Evelyn explains that the only way to defeat Imhotep is to use the gold book, which according to Evelyn's understanding is at the base of the statue of Horus. They leave the museum and almost get away but are cornered. Imhotep wants Evelyn to be his bride for eternity. In exchange, he will spare her friends. She takes the offer. Rick now has to save her life before the ritual is complete. They escape through the sewers, get hold of a plane from Rick's former military pal, and fly to the statue of Horus at Hamunaptra. Evelyn and Imhotep are there already. Imhotep tries to kill them with a sandstorm, but they are saved when Evelyn distracts him with a kiss. Evelyn is led into the temple where the ritual was disrupted by the Pharaoh's guards 3,000 years ago. Imhotep picks up where he left off. He places all of his ex's organs on the mantle and is ready to begin. Elsewhere, Rick, Jonathan and Ardith stumble upon the Pharaoh's riches and bring Imhotep's priests back to life. They fight them off and find Horus' statue and the gold book. While this is happening, Benny, Rick's former partner and Imhotep's new employee, steals as much gold as he can carry, and he takes it to his camel. The ritual has begun and the Pharaoh's wife's soul inhabits her mummy body. Imhotep almost kills Evelyn when Jonathan comes in with the gold book, but he needs a key. Imhotep sends all the mummies to get him, and it may be over for all of them, unless Hunatan can read the inscription on the cover to control his chasers. He finally gets it right with the help of Evelyn and instructs the mummies to kill the Pharaoh's wife. Imhotep has to see his woman killed for the second time. Jonathan gets a hold of the key and Evelyn opens Gold the book and looks for the inscription. She reads it and makes Imhotep immortal and Rick kills him with a stab. The temple begins to crumble and they all run out as fast as they can, so quick they don't have time to take any souvenirs. Benny is left alone in the temple with all the riches and all the flesh-eating beetles. The city of Hamunaptra falls to the ground and Rick, Evelyn and Jonathan make it out just in time. They see Ardith is still alive. He goes on his way grateful for all their help. Rick and Evelyn kiss and all three of them go off into the sunset with a bag full of Benny's stolen gold. This is one trip they'll remember for a long time. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you smash that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications to help the channel out. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.